They took my wife from our home sick, still stitched up from heart surgery, and stuffed her in the back of a van like a criminal. No warrant, no warning, just a clipboard and a power trip. See, folks think there's nothing scarier than a man with too much power, but they're wrong. You really don't want to cross a man who's got nothing left to lose. That's when the trouble starts. And that's exactly where this story begins. Sun was barely up, just starting to warm the shingles, when I eased Rachel out of the car that morning. She winced with every step, fingers gripping my arm like she might float off if she let go. The hospital had finally let her come home after 3 weeks. 3 weeks of beeping monitors and fluorescent lights and prayers whispered into scratchy pillows. Her chest was held together with hope and a whole lot of stitches, still so pale and tired it hurt to see. But all she wanted was her own couch, her own blanket, her own herb garden by the window. Yeah, she called it her green chapel, and it was the one patch of dirt I couldn't keep alive without her. I set her up on the sofa pillow under her knees, just like the nurse showed me. And for a second, I almost believed everything would be normal again. She told me to go to work, kissed her on the forehead, gave me that tired, soft smile. I didn't want to leave her, but the bank sure wasn't waiting on me. Every vacation day was long gone, and I'd used up every excuse I could with my boss. She promised me she'd call if anything felt off. The nurse would swing by to check vitals, help with her meds, make sure she didn't get any ideas about reorganizing the living room out of pure stubbornness. I told her I'd be home by 6. I should have known something was up the second I pulled out the driveway and spotted Linda at the far end of the block. Arms folded, pearls gleaming, that sour look like she smelled something rotten and figured it was me. President of the HOA, queen of making life miserable, and owner of the most punchable face in 3 counties. We'd butted heads over paint colors, solar panels, mailbox heights. You name it, she had a form for it. Our lot wasn't even supposed to be under HOA rule, at least according to what I was told at closing, but Linda believed different. She watched me drive away, vulture eyes locked on my truck. I didn't wave. She didn't blink. Work was slow. I spent the whole morning thinking about Rachel, wondering if she'd eaten, if she remembered her blood thinners, if she was sleeping at all. I texted her around 11. No answer. Probably napping. Or maybe just couldn't hear the phone over Judge Judy reruns. But there was this little itch, that warning bell in the back of your brain that just won't shut up. At 11:35, my phone buzzed. Danny, they're at the house. HOA, 2 men. They say I'm not allowed to be here. They want ID. They won't listen. Please come. I don't feel good. Everything stopped. My hands were greasy. My heart just slammed into my throat. I read the text twice, then bolted, left my wrench on the engine block, didn't even lock up, just ran. Every red light was a suggestion, every mile another punch in the gut. I called Rachel. No answer. Again. Voicemail. Called the nurse. She hadn't even made it yet. Called the house phone, busy. That's when I knew something was really, really wrong. About 10 minutes out, I got another text. This one from Angela. Old neighbor, sweet as pie, always walking her little beagle. Danny, I saw Rachel being taken out of the house. She didn't look good. Should I call someone? Taken out. Who the hell takes a sick woman out of her own home? I tried calling Angela. No answer. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she just felt helpless. All I could think was, had Linda finally snapped? Did she file a fake complaint? Was this even legal? I didn't have answers. I just had rage. By the time I made it to my street, I wasn't thinking in words, just read static. My house was blocked off. Some white van I'd never seen parked out front. No plates. Community Compliance Transport Services, printed in faded letters on the side, might as well have said, Kidnapper Express. Our iron gate was chained shut with a plastic sign, property under administrative review, HOA enforcement in progress. In the yard, 2 men, one in a suit with a clipboard, one built like a refrigerator in a polo shirt, and Linda standing there, arms folded, lips tight, but no Rachel. I barely remember vaulting the gate, just remember screaming, "Where's my wife?" The suit puffed up, tried to talk legalese, some nonsense about emergency policy and unregistered occupants. Linda piped up with that smug smile, telling me my wife was relocated for evaluation, like she was some stray cat. I saw red. The fridge man tried to block me. I shoved him aside. That's when I saw Rachel slumped on a bench in the back of the van, arms around her chest, looking so small I almost didn't recognize her. I rushed in, pushed past another guy, some weasel in khakis, and got to her. She looked up dazed, tried to say my name. I scooped her up, carried her out. Somebody shouted, "He's assaulting people. I'm calling the cops." I shouted back, "Good, you better." Neighbors were outside now filming. Let them. I wanted every second recorded. I put Rachel on the porch, tried to get her breathing steady. Sirens showed up, cops climbed out, hands on their belts, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. I laid it all out. No warrant, no medical staff. HOA broke in, took my sick wife out of her own home, locked the gate behind them. Rachel could barely sit up. The nurse Liz, thank God for Liz, came running over to check her pulse. Linda tried to play it off as enforcement protocol. I cut her off and pulled out the deed. Yep, had it right there in my back pocket. This property's not under your jurisdiction, Linda. Never was. Cops went pale, turned to Linda. Now she was the one sweating. One officer said, "Ma'am, this sounds like kidnapping." For once, Linda didn't have a comeback. Rachel had to go back to the hospital. Dehydrated, scared, stitches strained. I rode in the ambulance behind her, hands shaking so hard I could barely dial my buddy Mike, former Army, now a lawyer. He promised me heads would roll. And roll they did. Emergency protective order lawsuits, criminal complaints, the whole 9 yards. Mike had reporters sniffing around by sunset. I spent that night by Rachel's bed, promising her it wasn't over. Next morning, I marched into the HOA board meeting clubhouse, packed with neighbors and reporters, the board sweating bullets. Brent, the new interim president, tried to stall me. I dropped a fat folder on the table, legal demands, video footage, threats to bankrupt the board if they so much as touched my mailbox again. When I said I was running for HOA president myself, the room actually cheered. Linda vanished. A smear campaign followed, anonymous flyers claiming I was violent, zoning complaints filed out of spite, even a botched attempt at sugar in my gas tank caught on camera. Of course, Paul's idea, every dirty trick in the book. But the neighborhood was fed up. I went door to door, showed people the hospital papers, the footage, the facts. Old enemies became allies. When voting day came, the place was packed. Linda sent a lawyer to stall, but it backfired. Folks were furious. I stood up and told them flat out, "You tried to run from democracy the second it stopped serving your comfort." The applause said it all. But Linda wasn't finished. Her son got caught on camera vandalizing my truck, arrested in broad daylight. That was the tipping point. Neighbors came forward with stories, screenshots, years of abuse. We filed everything county, state, media. Within a week, Linda was formally removed. The board dissolved, criminal charges pending. The final hearing was public county-level cameras rolling. Mike presented it all, videos, timelines, testimony. When they played the footage of Rachel being taken from the house, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Even Brent, the coward interim, looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. Neighbors spoke up. Stories of fines for pride flags, basketball hoops, wheelchair ramps. Linda was outed for what she was: a bully with a clipboard, a tyrant in pearls. The decision was unanimous. Linda banned from HOA involvement. The rest of the board dissolved, criminal charges recommended. The whole neighborhood got a fresh start. A week later, I was sworn in as HOA president. First order of business: no more closed-door meetings, no more surprise fines, no more dictatorships. We rewrote the charter, gave power back to the people. Rachel planted sunflowers along the fence where Linda used to pace, bright yellow, defiant as hell. So here's what I learned. Sometimes justice is ugly and slow and louder than you ever expect. But it's real. Every morning I drink my coffee on the porch and watch those sunflowers sway, reminding me what happens when you fight back and win. But let me ask you, if this happened in your neighborhood, would you stand up or would you look the other way? Drop your story, your thoughts, or your own HOA nightmares in the comments below. And if you believe in real justice, share this with someone who needs to hear it, because power only wins when we let it.